To be the ultimate Green Lantern, you must live without fear. Hal Jordan closes his eyes. Without fear, he mutters, but the black circle flashes in his mind and a voice echoes. L. Jordan, you must be without fear. Hal gasps, panicked. Without fear, but I'm terrified, he whispers as he trudges down a desolate desert highway. Headlights flare behind him. A sheriff pulls up, stepping out of his cruiser. Sir, strange place for a Sunday stroll. You won't last long out here in this heat, the officer warns. Hal's hand twitches in his jacket pocket. The sheriff notices, hand sliding to his holster. What's in your pocket? He presses. Sweat drips down Hal's face, his eyes wide. The sheriff raises his voice. Is it drugs? A weapon? The black circle flashes in Hal's mind again. The cop pulls his gun. Lie down. Hands flat on the ground. Do it now. Hal tries to explain. My name is Hal Jordan. I'm from Evergreen. Something happened there. But the sheriff shouts louder, finger tightening on the trigger. At last, Hal yanks his hand free. It's over in an instant. When Hal opens his eyes, all that's left is a bloody smear and a sheriff's badge gleaming in the sun. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry, Hal whispers, continuing his lonely walk. Later, the bell over May and Moe's diner jingles. Hal steps inside. The room goes quiet. He sits at the counter, exhausted. Something to drink, hun? The waitress asks. Water, please, Hal mutters. She eyes him strangely. Did your car break down out there? Hal just stares at the condensation ring from his glass. No, something happened, he whispers. Then the TV cuts to breaking news. Helicopter footage from Evergreen, Nevada. The camera pans over destruction, a massive green flat lantern symbol gouged into the earth, tearing through buildings, leaving a crater. The reporter explains no bodies have been recovered, but movement behind the camera ends the feed. An emergency alert flashes across the screen. The diner erupts in murmurs. Hal looks down at the ring of water on the counter. The black circle flashes again. 5 days earlier, Hal had been with his friends in Evergreen, John Stewart and Joe. They joked over lunch, arguing about Guy Gardner and whether Hal should rejoin the police force. Suddenly, bikers roared past the cafe. Hal muttered, someone's going to get hurt. Moments later, another motorcycle came speeding down the street. Then it happened. A blinding flash of green. A wall appeared from nowhere. The biker slammed into it at full speed. The crash leaving only twisted metal and gore. Hal ran outside. The wall shimmered before him. What the hell? He whispered. Joe tested it. It's like a force field. Above them, a pale alien stared down. He said his name was Abin Sur, and he carried with him the symbol of the Green Lantern. Back in the diner, the waitress leaned in. You were in Evergreen. That thing on the news? Was it a ship? Hal's eyes filled with tears. He called it the Green Lantern. The patrons surrounded him, demanding answers. I made a mistake, Hal stammered. Abin Sur gave me something. A weapon. The waitress tensed, hand sliding to the pistol under the counter. But another patron snapped first, grabbing Hal's arm. Show us what's in your pocket. Hal's hand was yanked free, but it wasn't a hand anymore. From the wrist down, a swirling black vortex crackled with energy. Black tendrils lashed out, lifting the man and ripping him apart in seconds. Screams filled the diner. The tendrils spread, tearing the building apart. The waitress fired her pistol. Bullets struck Hal Dash, but the black hand healed him instantly. Hal looked down in horror. You're not going to let me die, are you? He whispered. The diner lay in ruins. Everyone inside, dead. The door creaked open. Joe stepped in, miraculously alive. Hal Jordan, what happened to you? She gasped, but Joe was glowing. The Green Lantern symbol shone bright across her chest. The darkness swirls before Joe, and a voice calls out for her to be without fear, to master the green light that burns within her. She opens her eyes and finds herself in the ruins of a diner. Hal Jordan nearby, the glow of green energy seeping from her skin. Strange cracks run through her arms, green light bleeding through. She admits she doesn't understand what's happening. Visions, voices, a pull that led her here to Hal. She motions to his corrupted hand and asks what it has become. Hal warns her not to get close. The black hand acts on its own, like it's alive, protecting him in ways he doesn't want, whispering like a dark star lodged in his mind. He gestures to the devastation around them, admitting he tried to resist it, to will it back, but it never listens. Days earlier, the town of Evergreen gathered in awe and fear as the alien Abin Sur descended. He declared himself a being of the Green Lantern, calling for judgment and urging them all to be without fear. Sheriff Guy Gardner stepped forward, trying to assert the law, but Abin Sur's only response was to raise his hand and unleash his light. Guy warned his deputies to hold back, but fear spread like wildfire. Weapons were drawn, voices rose, and in the chaos, Abin Sur judged the sheriff, burning him alive with emerald fire until nothing remained but ash. The crowd panicked, deputies Rita and Roy opening fire, but their bullets ricocheted off green shields and struck the very people they were sworn to protect. Abin Sur continued the judgment. Rita was cut down in an instant, while Roy's hand was severed, leaving him screaming in the street. Joe and John rushed to save him, begging Hal to act, but Hal froze in shock. Finally, with grim resolve, he picked up Roy's fallen pistol and aimed at the alien. Abin Sur turned to him, declaring that judgment was still in progress. Hal prepared to pull the trigger until John Stewart stepped between them, urging Hal to stand down. He reminded him that fighting back had only led to death. Hal hesitated, then finally lowered the gun. Abin Sur seemed almost satisfied, speaking John's name before soaring back to his ship in a burst of green fire. Back in the present, Hal stares at his blackened hand. With a pulse of dark energy, the pistol materializes in his palm, proof that the black hand devours and remembers. He warns Jo to leave, confessing that this darkness hungers for the light, not just green but the entire spectrum itself. It is old, it is everywhere, and it whispers to him that he was right all along. Meanwhile, in the days prior, the three friends sat in Evergreen's diner under the dome of alien light. John Stewart, weary and determined, told them he didn't believe anyone was coming to save them. If Abin Sur had judged them enemies, then maybe it was up to them to end this. Reaching into his pocket, he revealed a golden ring, a green barrier that traps an entire town, flickers faintly under the gray sky. John Stewart stands before it. In his fingers, he turns a small golden earring, cheap and fake. The only thing left behind by a motorcyclist who tried to ride through the barrier and was torn apart instantly. Behind him, the sound of a diner door chimes, and his old friend Todd steps out, holding 2 cups of coffee. "Johnny, Earth to John Stewart," Todd says, his voice cutting through the quiet. "Wake up and smell the legendary coffee, man. Before we're all stuck drinking that herbal crap I keep in the back." John smirks faintly, but his eyes stay fixed on the barrier. In the distance, vultures pick apart what's left of the rider, the reality of the shield's cruelty reflected in their glassy black eyes. "Food'll last another few weeks," Todd says, trying to sound casual. "Power's iffy, but people are managing." "They're not managing," John replies flatly. "They're waiting for someone in charge to show up." Across the road, a delivery van approaches the edge of the town, and then, as if hypnotized, it slows, turns, and drives away. The driver's eyes don't even register the glowing wall of light. "It's affecting their minds," John mutters. "Anyone outside this place doesn't even see it. To them, we don't exist." Todd blinks. "That's impossible." "Yeah," John says softly. "So is half the stuff I've seen." He holds up the fake earring again, studying it. Everything that hit the barrier vaporized, except this. Plastic, cheap gold plating, not even real metal. Todd shakes his head, frowning. "You're kidding." But John only tosses the earring forward. It hits the barrier with a pop of displaced energy and vanishes through it. On the other side, it clinks softly onto the pavement. The vultures scatter into the sky. For a long time, the 2 men stand there, silent. Then Todd lets out a low whistle. "Okay, how?" John's eyes narrow. "I don't know," he says, the hint of a smile forming. "But I'm going to." The scene shifts, and we find ourselves in the present. The once calm diner is now cracked and silent, the air humming with tension. Hal Jordan sits slumped in a booth, his blackened hand trembling. Jo Mullein stands over him, her green aura flickering nervously against the shadows. "Hal, talk to me," she whispers, but Hal only shakes his head. "The black hand is hungry, Jo. It's angry. It hates the light." He glances down at her glowing ring. "Can you turn it off?" Jo frowns. "You know I can't." Hal exhales, a tired, bitter smile crossing his face. "Yeah, that's fair." His blackened arm twitches violently. "Neither can I." He raises the pistol he's been holding, a weapon forged from the darkness itself, and fires. The blast tears through the air like a cannon. Jo's shield flares up instantly, green energy forming a dome as the black energy crashes against it. "Hal, stop!" Jo yells. "I can't!" Hal shouts back, his voice cracking. "It wants the light! If you just give it what it wants." "It wants to kill me!" she screams. Her body glows brighter, the veins on her arms burning with green light as her will manifests into a massive emerald fist. The diner rumbles as the construct swings across the room and smashes into Hal, launching him straight through the wall. He hits the dirt outside, tumbling across the ground before coming to rest at the edge of town. Jo floats above him, her body blazing like a star. "Get your act together, Jordan," she warns coldly. "Or I swear to God, I'll do it for you." Hal looks up at her, dazed, the black veins retracting slightly. "How are you controlling it?" he whispers. Before Jo can answer, the scene shifts again. Back in the past, John stands before the barrier once more. Hal and Jo have joined him, curious and uneasy. Hal holds up a small, collectible toy, gold-painted and gleaming faintly. "This what you wanted?" he asks. "Paid $8 for it. Probably worth less now." John nods. "Perfect." Without hesitation, he tosses the golden toy into the barrier. It vanishes, but this time the energy ripples. A visible wave pulses outward before settling. Jo's eyes widen. "That was stronger than last time." John nods. "Yeah. Plastic painted gold still triggers it, But what happens when it's real gold? He pulls a ring from his pocket, a simple band aged with time. My grandmother's wedding ring, he says quietly. Real gold, real meaning. He throws it at the barrier. The world erupts. A deafening explosion of green energy blasts outward. Dust fills the air. The shock wave hurls them backward. When the light fades, a hole, wide enough for a man to walk through, has formed in the wall of light. But even as they stare, the edges begin knitting themselves back together. Hal's face lights up. You made a hole. You actually broke it. How long did it last? Jo asked. 2 seconds? 3? If we had enough gold. Her words die as a voice echoes above them. John Stewart. They all look up. Hovering above the ground, bathed in emerald flame, is Abin Sur. Judgment is in progress. Before anyone can move, green fire engulfs John. John Stewart has been judged. Todd burst from the diner, shotgun in hand, tears streaming down his face. You miserable son of a... He fires, but the shot hits the invisible shield and ricochets away harmlessly. Judgment is in progress, Todd Rice. The alien voice booms again. Be without fear. And with that, Abin Sur vanishes back into his ship, swallowed by the green clouds above. Jo sinks to her knees, trembling. He got too close, she whispers. It wouldn't let him. Hal stands motionless beside her. His jaw tightens. We should have stopped him. He thought there were lessons in this. Clues, like it meant something. There's no lesson, no enlightenment. We're prisoners, trapped in someone else's hell, and it's never going to end, unless somebody ends it. Later that night, Hal sits alone at a workbench. The light flickers above him. His pistol rests beside an open box of bullets. Slowly, methodically, he paints each one. Gold, one after another. When the last one shines beneath the lamplight, he slides it into the cylinder and whispers, "Let's see how you like judgment." A ring of light circling endlessly. A voice echoes from that emptiness. Hal Jordan, your judgment has been passed, but penance can still be earned. Before the words can settle, the light drowns in red. Another voice replaces it. Penance, it sneers. You were right. You've always been right. The truth has always been right there in front of you. God isn't light. God isn't mercy. God is the zero, the black circle that wraps around all things. In that black ring floats a single star. Be the black star, Hal, the voice commands. Hal jerks awake, gasping, the echo fading from his mind. No, he whispers. I don't want to. Above him, Jo Mullein hovers in the air, her body blazing green like a living constellation. Hal, you have to fight this, she shouts, her voice trembling through the static haze. Stop letting that thing, that hand, take over. You're stronger than it. Hal rises slowly, unsteady. Shadows pour from his eyes like ink, streaking down his cheeks. I wish you could stop me, Jo, he murmurs, but it won't let you. Then I'll make it, she snaps. You see what you've done? Look around you. His jaw tightens. Anger surges. What I've done! The black hand lashes out like a storm, its fingers cracking the ground as it slams into Jo, sending her crashing through the dirt and rock. The impact shakes the entire ridge. She looks up, winded, and sees the darkness crawling over Hal's body. A black armor forming from the corruption itself, its surface shifting with countless red eyes. What I did? Hal snarls again, the voice no longer his own. You want to talk about what I did, Jo? You want to talk about Evergreen? He steps forward, the ground blistering beneath his boots. The air distorts. The diner is silent. Outside, Evergreen looks like a ghost town. Jo sits across from Todd, a half-empty beer sweating in her hand. I think I figured it out, she finally says, her voice breaking the silence. All those people, all those houses Abby said were empty. They didn't run. They didn't hide. They're gone. Todd doesn't respond at first, just takes a slow drink, nodding. Yeah, one by one, they just disappeared. The door creaks open. Hal walks in, the same gun he forged from gilt and gold tucked at his side. You ready? He asks. Jo stares down at her drink for a long moment. 3,000 people, Hal, she mutters. Why are we the only ones left? She finishes the beer and stands. Hell with it. Maybe I'll ask him myself. She cups her hands and calls into the night. Abin Sur! Come down here, I want to talk. Her voice bounces off the shattered buildings. The air hums, and then the sky ignites green. Abin Sur descends in a pillar of light, his alien form shimmering like molten glass. Sojourner Mullein, he intones, be without fear. Jo looks up, her face half lit in emerald glow. Why? She demands. Why did you kill them all? Abin Sur tilts his head, confused. Them all? Clarify, I have no understanding. In the doorway, Hal steadies his aim. She's keeping him talking, he whispers to Todd. I just need a clean shot. The alien lands softly in front of Jo. His voice reverberates through the street. Existence ended for Jason Simmons, a consequence of the barrier and his motion within it. Existence ended for Rita Powell, as judgment for her chaotic action, which ended existence for Beatrice Coles. No other existence has ended by this Abin Sur. Jo's eyes widen. What? That's not true. I saw them die. You burned them alive. You disintegrated John, Guy, the entire town. Abin Sur's expression never changes. Sojourner Mullein. No other existence has ended by this Abin Sur. Jo turns, whispering to herself, they're alive. The green aura around the alien begins to intensify. His words vibrate through the ground. Disintegration, transformation, not end state. They exist within Oa. They are within the Omega Alpha. Judgment continues. Hal slowly lowers his gun. Todd reaches for his arm. Hal, don't... She's doing it, Hal interrupts softly. She's reaching him. Maybe this can end without another body. Jo takes another step forward, shouting, can you bring them back? Abin Sur raises his arms, a massive green circle forming behind him. Existence must continue within the light. Judgment must be carried out. I am Abin Sur. Ian must be chosen. Ian initiates against the darkness. His voice sharpens. Be with fear, Sojourner Mullein. Fear, Cord. Fear the weaponers of Cord. Now you have understanding. Judgment remains in progress. Jo refuses to let him leave. She reaches out, her wedding ring glinting gold in the green light, and grabs his arm. The instant her ring touches his aura, energy erupts. Power floods between them like a lightning storm. Jo's eyes blaze white-green, the light pouring from her mouth as Abin Sur staggers backward. Images flash through her mind. Alien worlds, beings of pink skin and burning yellow eyes. A black star eclipsed by a dying sun. The surge explodes outward. Abin Sur collapses, trembling, his voice fractured. Chaotic action, anomaly, anomaly, he screams. Jo floats upward, surrounded by light, no longer in control. The entire barrier that enclosed Evergreen begins to shimmer, then collapses in an instant. Far above Abin Sur's ship, its engines still glowing green, loses power and plummets. The crash shatters the valley, engulfing Evergreen in fire and dust. Buildings crumble. The explosion carves a crater so massive it erases the entire town from existence. The wreckage of Evergreen smolders beneath the Nevada sun. U.S. military tents dot the horizon. Helicopters hum overhead. A sleek black chopper lands on the edge of the crater, kicking up waves of sand. A man in a tailored suit peers out the window, grinning. Now that's a sight worth the flight. Hector Hammond steps down, eyes gleaming with greed. Tell me, anyone else tried to claim it yet? His assistant shakes her head, tapping a datapad. No, sir. Lazarus has the tech, but not the timing. They're stretched thin with Superman. Good, Hammond smirks. That's the kind of news I like. But double the security perimeter. This is the kind of find that gets vultures circling. He steps to the edge of the crater, staring at the half-buried alien craft. Looks like Gateway City all over again, he says with a grin. And this time, it belongs to Hector Hammond. A faint circle of light hums to life. And in that void, a voice speaks. Todd Rice, be without fear. Judgment incomplete. No bearer can be chosen. You are an unknown within the spectrum. The glow fades, leaving Todd in total blackness. Then, chaos. Rubble shifts. Someone shouts, "We've got a survivor!" Emergency workers dig frantically, dragging Todd out from the wreckage. As they rattle off his injuries, another figure pushes through the crowd. A massive head, eyes gleaming with wicked intelligence. Hector Hammond. He leans close, smirking. Hello, sport. I'm the one who decides if you get to live today. So, talk. Todd tries, his voice trembling. His mind flashes back to the moment the sky itself fell. A blinding green meteor crashed from above, tearing through Evergreen and crushing his cafe in seconds. Beneath the ruin, Todd heard it all. The sound of a dying god. Hal Jordan stands amid fire and smoke, pistol raised at the alien known as Abin Sur. Where is she? Hal shouts, Where's Jo Mullein? You changed her, turned her into something else. Tell me where she is. But Abin Sur looks almost mournful. His emerald aura flickers. She wields power without understanding. She is an anomaly. Anomalies cannot exist in light. She will be sought, hunted. Be without fear, Hal Jordan. Hal's pistol trembles. Be with, he starts, and then fires. Again and again. Bullets pierce the alien's chest until the gun clicks empty. Hal lowers the weapon, tears streaking his face. That was for John, for all of them. But suddenly, Abin Sur's body convulses. His hand, blackened and rotting, lashes out, gripping Hal's wrist. Judgment, Hal Jordan. The Black Hand. The alien's flesh melts into oily darkness that crawls up Hal's arm. His gun dissolves. His left hand turns pitch black. What? What did you? Hal stammers. Abin Sur collapses, liquefying into the black sludge. Judgment ended, he gasps. Abin Sur cannot return. Fear the Black Hand. Fear the Black Star. And then, silence. Todd's voice cracks as he finishes retelling the story. And then, I passed out. Hammond nods, expression cold. Good talk. He waves to his assistant. Get him medical care. Keep him alive. We might find a use for him. He turns back to the crater, muttering, Jo Mullein. Who the hell is Jo Mullein? Miles away, Jo floats in the air, a green shield glowing around her. Hal, stand down, she yells. But the thing wearing Hal's face isn't listening. The Black Hand has twisted him into something monstrous. I thought you were dead, Jo, he growls. That's why I fired. That's why all of this happened. What did you become? Her light flares. This, she shouts, and charges, blasting through the tar-black sludge coating his skin. I became the Green Lantern, but the darkness pulls him back. The ooze reshapes his body, red eyes blinking open across the surface. You brought ruin, the voice bellows through him. You stole Abin Sur's light. You are an anomaly, Sojourner Mullein. Hal strains against it. It's the ring, Jo. Take it off. The ring, take it off. But she only smirks. Make me. Her body glows with furious brilliance, and a burst of emerald energy surges from her ring. The blast slams into Hal, knocking him back in agony. She drops, panting, her strength fading, as the Black Hand regathers, forming a gigantic claw that reaches for her again. At Evergreen's ruins, Hammond watches his workers failing to breach the fallen Green Lantern ship. Then a shout, Sir! Green light approaching fast. He snatches binoculars, eyes widening as Jo streaks across the sky, pursued by the black entity. Pull everyone back, he orders. We've got a puzzle box here, and the keys just arrived. Jo darts through the air, dodging attacks. The Black Hand morphs into a massive mouth, roaring as tendrils lash out, wrapping around her leg. No, she shouts, blasting them with a laser beam of pure light. The darkness writhes but won't let go. The ship below starts to hum, glowing in response to her presence. Hammond whispers, awestruck. Beautiful. Jo grits her teeth. Come on! Come on! Her body flares again, green wings forming as she rockets toward the ship. The tendrils crawl up her arm, but she seizes them, forcing her light through the darkness, channeling it straight back to Hal. The power ignites, dragging both of them into the glowing ship. In a blinding flash, they vanish. Scan the ship, Hammond screams. Don't you dare miss this. Inside, nothing but darkness. Then a warm light blooms before them. Sojourner Mullein, Hal Jordan. Be without fear, a voice intones. And from that light, John Stewart steps forward, radiant and alive. Hal and Jo have entered the heart of the Green Lantern construct, where John Stewart now waits, ready to expose the deepest truths of Oa. Outside, the vast void shifts as a shadowed sphere drifts through space, swallowing stars whole. How far out is the world that's coming? A voice wonders in the dark. Cameron Chase jolts awake at her desk, heart racing. A secretary's voice cuts through her daze. Agent Double will see you now, Agent Chase. She straightens her jacket and steps inside her superior's office. Thanks for making time, Cam. Sorry to pull you off your workload, he says politely. She raises an eyebrow. Workload? At this rate, I'll be done by Tuesday. What am I supposed to do? Count ceiling tiles? She leans forward. This about Evergreen. Her boss hesitates before answering. Not exactly. Regulations say you can't be on that case. Cameron glares. Right. So what? Hector Hammond buy you a beach house? Minutes later, she's storming down the hallway. Administrative leave? My ass, she mutters, slamming the door behind her. Meanwhile, Hal and Jo awaken inside the Green Lantern's mindscape, finding John Stewart seated before them. He gestures at the dark around them, slowly forming into visions of their world. All of this, John says softly, is Oa. Don't panic. Don't be afraid. I'll translate what I can. The darkness ripples, replaced by a glowing ring of light, and suspended within it, the people of Evergreen. Jo and Hal gasp as Guy Gardner appears among them, his body burning with red energy. Abin Sur was the judge of worlds, John explains. He came to weigh your fate, first in Evergreen, then within the Lantern itself. He didn't kill you. He transferred you here. Everyone is alive. Jo stares in awe. All of them? John nods. All here, all together. And for the first time, without fear. But Hal shakes his head. His eyes burn black. The hand, John. It's still inside me. It hates this place. Guy's voice echoes through the light. There are 4 levels of light: Quad, Rho, Soar, and R. From chaos to restraint to wisdom to understanding. Jo squints. That does not make me feel any better. Is Guy even okay in there? What is this place? What is OA? What was Abin Sur judging us for? John answers gently. Abin Sur was a guardian of the green spectrum. He was tasked with selecting initiates for what's coming. Guy showed restraint, so he was chosen for the red flame. Hal snaps. And me? What did I do to deserve this thing inside my head? Whispering that my worst thoughts are right? John shakes his head. He's gone, Hal. We can't ask him why. All we can do is learn what's ahead. Golden light rises around John as he speaks. Because I sought knowledge, I was chosen for the gold flame. But others, they draw power from darkness. Power without restraint. They call themselves the Weaponers. The Abin Quad, the Black Stars. He turns to Jo. How far out is the world that's coming? How close is the Black Star world? Above them, a dark planet looms. Hal stares in terror. That's it. That's what's been in my head. Jo grits her teeth. I've had enough. She steps forward. I'm an anomaly. All his power, none of his rules. If Abin Sur put that thing in you, Hal, maybe I can pull it out. He hesitates, then reaches for her hand. Energy bursts between them. Green and black colliding, writhing, and then the light wins. There you are, Jo growls. Let go of my friend. The darkness screams and erupts from Hal in a wave of pure shadow. Outside, Hector Hammond peers through binoculars at the colossal lantern. Tell me we're getting something, he snaps. We're drowning in data, sir, his assistant stammers. We don't understand it yet, but we will. Hammond grins. That's what I like to hear. Then the lantern erupts. A beam of green light streaks across the sky, followed by a flood of black liquid pouring down like rain. Sir, we should evacuate the teams. No, Hammond barks. Keep the scans rolling. This is the good part. The green light races away toward Coast City before vanishing entirely. The object's gone, sir, his assistant says quietly. Hammond just stares at the blackened crater. We lost it, but we got the data. That's a win, he mutters. Far above the moon, a ring floats in silence, and John Stewart glows beside it, bathed in gold. How far out is the world that's coming, he whispers. Closer every day. Come back soon, Jo. Meanwhile, in Coast City, Cameron Chase sits alone in her apartment, ranting to Simon Baz over the phone. Administrative leave because my ex-wife's from Evergreen? Please, she was never there anyway. A knock echoes. She grumbles. God, how many times can Sojourner Mullein wreck my life? She opens the door, and there stands Jo, glowing green, Hal barely standing beside her. Hey, Cam, Jo says softly. I didn't know where else to go. Can we talk?